Can you see how disgusting I look?
At last they can.
I look like shit.
Oh.
I did 12 hours at work. So I'm very tired.
Yeah, my sleeping schedule's all backwards again.
And I'm ready to do a show.
I woke up at 5 p.m. today. And yesterday I led a group of high schoolers in fetal pig dissection. And then came home and passed out. Kind of flopped around on the couch for a little while. And then was up all night working on YouTube videos. And now here I am. It is
that time. It's
5 till midnight.
It's midnight. I was about to say it's 11, but it's not.
So it's like midday for Forrest. So late morning, early afternoon.
It's very sleepy time for me.
It's like nappish situation. I haven't eaten anything today. It's a hard time, man.
That's upsetting to me.
It's
upsetting to hear that you didn't eat anything.
Well, it's just because I haven't had time. I've been doing things.
I don't care about that. You should eat a food.
Well, I had like I
understand.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
You had taquitos. You were telling me earlier.
I did eat food today.
Yeah. But like it was like 2 taquitos spaced over like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it is. That's how it always is.
That's how it is. It's that time. Although, to be fair, it is like I work in retail. It's that time of year for me.
Have you ever been really, really antsy and also really tired at the same time?
Yes.
Every night. You can't stop squirming, but you're just going to pass out. And like, oh.
Oh, I know we've talked about this before. Like, I sometimes often lay in bed and my wife goes to sleep and I'm just laying next to her and I drift off to sleep and then snap awake and then I'm awake for at least another 1 to 2 hours just panic attacking over stuff that you can't do anything about at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do anything about it at 2 a.m.
And that's what you got to keep telling yourself.
And, and then yourself is like, oh no. You're right. It's a big problem and I can't solve it. You have to convince yourself to go back to sleep or eventually you just get tired enough again.
Yeah, your brain just kind of like exhausts again. Yeah, it's.
So I do spend a lot of nights just kind of going to sleep in a weird state.
I've seen that TikTok that's going around. It's like, oh my, it seems that I have thought about what life is for a bit too long and have spiraled myself down into a full-blown panic attack. Marvelous.
I haven't seen that.
It's every day.
It's every day.
It's every day. Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah. But that's fine.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, and I'm Ben.
We're both very tired, and life is exhausting. It's an exhausting endeavor to be an alive person in the world. Can you relate?
I don't want to bitch too much.
Smash that like button if you're tired of being alive.
But and it would be funny to watch me eat gross shit, I guess. So just go ahead and do it. Because that'll maybe bring you some joy.
My left eye just straight spasmed out, and I could not open it. We're off to a wonderful start. Welcome to the podcast.
What's cool?
It begins.
All part of the process,
It's all part of it.
It's all. Do you remember when we were like children, and we planned?
Oh, like what we're gonna do with our lives?
And we planned.
Yeah.
And we always kind of knew that eventually it would get so hard that we would want to die.
I never thought I would make it this long is the whole thing.
There is that, but I know we definitely talked in the past about how if you want to do anything, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, well, we weren't stupid. We knew that nothing was going to fall into our laps, especially with how we especially with how we were brought up. Nothing was going to be easy. And so we yeah, we weren't dumb. We're
Yeah,
like,
like,
oh, so
we
I'm gonna
knew
wake up tomorrow and be a rock star.
it could
But,
be
like,
harder, but like it also is fucking like we knew it would be like rough.
yeah,
Like our childhoods were like not perfect
yeah,
by any stretch of the imagination, but so many people have that story,
right.
and that's what I always think about.
It
when I
is.
think about it.
There is a weird amount of like, I don't know if like survivor guilt is the right term, where it's like things that are hard for me because of my childhood, or things that like I struggle with, or things that like setbacks I have or whatever, and then I get really like I start feeling bad because I'm like, well, other people have it so much worse that like really, what right do I have to complain about anything?
I mean, it's
You know
good
what
it's good to do that.
I mean? Yeah.
It's not great to do that, but it's also I think the opposite is way worse. Like it sucks.
Oh.
It sucks that we feel like we should compare, like be like, well, like other people like don't even get to live more than a day.
Yeah.
So like at least that didn't happen, right?
Right.
And it is good, but like it's also shitty to compare lives like that in just in any capacity. But also I think the opposite direction of that spectrum, where people are just like so self-absorbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it's like they think like it's and I've been stuck in that mindset before too, so it's not really like a judgment thing, but where you're stuck in the mindset that you're like everything bad is happening and it's happening to me and it's just me and I'm the only one that has this much bad shit happen, and like it feels like that because you're the one experiencing all of your bad shit.
Yeah.
And if it's in a series over and over and over again, it's like,
Right.
it feels like it. But if your life is okay and you have food and like you can live another day, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing, is that like I complain about like, being impoverished and all sorts of other things, but like there's a lot of stuff that I don't talk about publicly as well. But like when I look at that, I'm like, oh well, all my limbs are attached, and like I didn't actually starve to death, so whatever. And like I'm alive in the first fucking place.
I didn't die today.
I didn't die today, exactly. So like I've got a lot to be very happy about, and like it makes me feel bad for ever having any problem ever, or even worse, complaining about any problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I know people who have gone through some real shit.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
and like it's just because I can put myself on that list doesn't mean I should.
Right, and that's
And
you're like, do I deserve to even call myself a person who can complain about a thing? Like, oh,
Probably not.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to deal with because you don't know the metrics. You've only had your own one life to live, and so like everything that you survived, you at least know is survivable. And so like when you compare
That's
that
all
to
you've
anybody
got to
else,
go on.
right? When you compare it to anybody else, you're like, oh well, fuck. They had it so much worse because they did these things, and I never would have made it out of that. And like in reality, you probably still would have, but that doesn't make that any better or worse or anything.
Right.
Like it is. And like there are things that I think we can say are objectively worse, but who the fucking knows? You know what I mean? Like that's why like I don't know. It's all perspective. It's all
Just weird. The whole thing is weird.
Yeah.
How come I can do things that other people can't do?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
That doesn't
Because
make
you're
any
better
sense.
than them.
But I'm not really, not like objectively.
Yeah.
I'm like you could say performing better
Right.
in certain respects, but like I don't think that makes me better.
I think that there's like also a lot to be said about like what happens to you versus what you cause. What you do, and then you have a consequence, versus like what you're born into, what your parents do to you, what your school does to you, what life, jobs, whatever, is very different. And so like a lot of the things where you're like, oh, this is I am actually living quite well now. Well, half of that was luck, and at least half of that was somebody else helping you, and half of that was it. And you have to reckon it. But then also, if you're like, oh, down on myself, like, oh, I'm in such a terrible way, there's all the half of that is possibly your fault, but also a lot of that isn't. And like the universe just kind of happens in both directions. And like that's one of my favorite poems, "If" by Rudyard Kipling. And meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. Because at the end of the day,
you've been bringing. Did you read this recently?
No.
Like again?
Have I said it more than once recently?
This is like at least the second time you brought it up.
Man, it's because we end up talking about similar things on this podcast all the time.
It's because we're fucking just terrible.
We're just human beings with like
very bad
three thoughts that guide our whole lives. And also, this is a bad podcast.
It's terrifying to think about. Like if you like do it, like am I guided by like several internal mantras and I don't even know it? Because the human brain is actually just fucking like a bunch of jelly.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of jelly.
Yeah, it's remarkably complicated bullshit. Is what it is.
Fucking nonsense.
It's insane. Yeah, no, it's and even that's crazy to think about because like, fucking your brain, your whole shit wouldn't work without fucking salt.
Yeah.
You know how important salt is? It's crazy. And like, you start to break down these things. Calcium. You need calcium to push neurotransmitters through your brain. Not gonna work with that. You need potassium. Calcium, potassium, and sodium. If you don't have those things, your fucking nerves don't work. Your neurons cannot function without these things. And you just think about that, and you're staring at a salt shaker, and it's 4 a.m, and you're a little high, and you're just fucking staring at this salt shaker and a banana, and you're like, fucking,
I gotta get this in me.
You make me. I would not be able to think without you. And you just get real deep. And then you find yourself laying in bed staring at your hand, realizing how simian your hand is, and realizing that you are an ape. And it just really fucking comes crashing down at you. And you're fucking just having like this moment, this connection with the universe. It's like half panic attack, half religious experience. And
Yeah.
you're just freaking out. Oh, that's my whole life, bro. That's
I know about those.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So,
all of those are real things.
Smash that like button if you feel similarly.
Welcome to Science Class. Welcome to the podcast where we make you question the reality that you weren't sure you wanted to be a part of in the first place.
Reach around and touch something and see if it's there. Just to make sure you still exist.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's so weird.
Yippity.
It's so weird, man.
What's weird?
So we were looking at I was looking at the list. Speaking of all of this stuff, I was looking at the list of topic ideas before we started recording, and the topic list is something that comes in and out of use. And
it's remarkably simple.
It's remarkably there. It certainly does exist.
The topic list is quite. I believe we even tried to talk about the topic list once on the show, like it was good.
And like I've got
it was at first.
These two that I really love. This one is, do we use words like toxic, gaslighting, narcissist too liberally? Obviously calling out bad behavior is good, but are stopping there and not stressing enough that toxic behavior can be changed. Let me know if this makes sense. Signed, Ben. Like, I don't fucking know it's you. We're the only two people on this thing. And then, the one right under that is, I would really like to do an episode where we just talk a lot of shit on weed and point out all its problems and developing concerns now that it's being used so much more. I feel like either one of those would be great for the setup that we've just that we just started doing.
Okay, so the one about the top one, that was me, because you can see I put my name there.
Thank you for doing that. I wouldn't have known.
I don't know why I did that. Because it's a document, it's a shared document. I'm pretty sure it just tells you what I write.
Well, it just shows that things have been written, and I know I didn't write it, so like that's the deduction. That's my Sherlock Holmes moment there.
Man, there's got to be some stupid reason why I did it.
Who knows? But like talking about like our childhoods being rough, and that definitely shapes who we are today. That definitely sets up parts of our personalities. Can those things also be changed? And then also marijuana, and it is used a lot. Either one of those would work.
What
really
about
well.
The words though? The toxic and the
yeah.
like, and it's not okay. So toxic. What did I say? Toxicity, toxic behavior,
gaslighting,
narcissism,
things like that. Yeah.
Sociopath and psychopath.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other words where I feel like people take this one like
bipolar's a big one.
Yeah, like you take a thing, like a disorder or a neurological issue, and then you start like calling people this thing.
Yeah.
And say, like, first of all, I think it's good that people have become aware of the term gaslight or to gaslight and have started using it more a little bit.
Yeah.
But like anytime somebody has a problem with you and picks a fight, it's not like if you can be set off. Like, with this thing, if you have this button that somebody can push all the time, like, you do need to ask, like, what's up with that button?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's fair to criticize this person for using that button and pushing that button.
Right.
But, like, you can't just be like, every time you have an argument with someone, you can't just be like, oh, they're gaslighting me to piss me off to get me into a fight. Because you might have real problems with this person that you need to sort out.
Right, there might be something deeper there that's
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
Or, like, just fucking calling everyone a fucking narcissist.
Yeah.
Like, everyone. And, there are very real, like, reasons to call somebody a narcissist or call out narcissistic behavior, right? They're totally. And, like, we're all capable of it to an extent. So it's good for somebody to say, hey, man, you're being like this. But, like, not everybody who has, like, some sort of self-preservation going on in a moment is being narcissistic.
Yeah.
Like, it's... And, like, it's very, I mean, this would be an extremely nuanced conversation we would have to have, and I don't even know.
Well, it's like...
Because, like, I do think this shit has to be called out.
I think the main issue for me is that, like, I used to throw around those words. Like, in high school, I'd be like, oh, you're a fucking psychopath, or that's sociopathic crazy shit. I don't do that anymore, because there are discrete differences in those terms. There are actually clinical diagnoses for those things. There are people who are psychopaths or sociopaths that live totally normal, fine lives and are totally functioning. And, like, it's just basically weaponizing mental illness.
Yeah.
And it not only is it unfair to the people who actually struggle with these things, but also it's diminishing these things. It's stereotyping these things, making them sound like crazy people, making them, you're a crazy killer.
Like, so what are we're gonna start sorting, which we do to an extent, so this might not be a good example, but, like, start sorting mental illnesses into, like, ones you can have and ones you can't have. Like,
well,
like everybody wants to say, like, oh, my ADHD this and my fucking, like, ADHD this, and, like, I'm being so whatever.
Well, that's another thing, is that, you know,
and like, but because those are fun little quirks you can play off of.
Yeah.
But then, like, when it comes to the guy who's, like, crying, like, and doesn't know why, just like crying for no reason, was fine 2 seconds ago and then just started bawling their eyes out.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's not good, a good example, but it is a thing that happens.
Yeah, well,
if you have a mood disorder, that can happen to you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even just calling somebody, you know, a psychopath, or saying if they're distracted, like, hey, you're ADHD and you're doing this, like, even just using those terms colloquially, you are, like, stigmatizing those things, number one, because you're only calling them out for bad things that you don't like, or using them as a quirk to make you more interesting, which you're right. It makes people not want to seek actual help for these things. It kind of pushes the idea that mental health is something you can just shake off and just deal with and you'll be fine later on, which is bullshit. It furthers the stigma against seeking therapy, or, you know, psychotherapy, or psychiatrist help. All these things play into it. And also, you know, what if that is something that these people have going on? Why would you shame them for that? You know what I mean? That's not like they woke up today and was like, I'm going to have bipolar disorder today. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, there's just so many reasons why.
Let's have fun.
Not the least of which being...
And then have a really bad time.
Right.
Paying for the fun.
Not the least of which being that even these colloquial, silly, just throwing them out for nonsense reasons is a form of, like, diagnosing or self-diagnosing or whatever, and that's fucking wrong. You can't do that shit. The same, and for the exact same reason as saying, like, oh, I'm pretty sure I have cancer because I saw it on WebMD. You need to go get that shit checked. You know, don't just run with that and then try to.
If you think you have it, you should go see a doctor.
Yeah,
and you know.
And similarly, if somebody has diabetes, don't go to them and be like, just fucking get over it, make more insulin, bitch. So if somebody has depression,
make more insulin.
Don't go to someone with depression and be like, hey, fucking just get it together. Just be happy today. Just find a reason to smile. That doesn't fucking work. That doesn't make any sense. Tell an ADHD person, just fucking focus. Just work harder. Just focus. Like, it's tough.
Just focus.
You see, fucking, that reminded me. I saw this fucking joke for Halloween. It was like, I'm gonna go as a burnt out, gifted, and talented kid for Halloween. I'm just gonna dress totally normal. And when people are like, "What were you supposed to be?" I'm gonna be like, "I was supposed to be a lot of things."
Yeah, I saw that.
That fucking hurts. That's so real. I was in Gifted and Talented. I was in that shit. And the other day, a little week or two ago, somebody told me that I have a lot of potential, and I almost strangled that person. They were like, you just applied yourself. You have so much potential. I'm like, oh, are you fucking kidding me?
If you just applied yourself, Forrest.
Right?
If you applied yourself to what?
If I just worked harder, I could do anything.
Well, that really is true.
So much potential.
Yeah, like if you worked harder, like how much do you sleep now?
No, too much. Too much.
How much? Give me like a range.
Sometimes 8 whole hours a day. Sometimes 8 whole hours.
On average, though.
Probably 6 or 7.
Let's cut that down to a reasonable 2.
Right. The thing, man, is that like it's hard because like I gotta sleep fast.
I gotta sleep fast
because the night's over by morning.
I know what you mean.
And so like just if you I guess sleep a little bit faster so I have more time to work. You know what I mean?
My favorite thing this whole year, and I was over here when it happened, but my favorite thing this whole year was whenever we got to turn the clocks back an hour. That's never happened to me in my third. That's the first time.
Is it 20? Yeah, it's a 20. Okay. I'm keeping an eye over here all the time because I'm worried that the camera's going to shut off again.
Don't ever do that. Be worried. Don't ever be worried. No, but fucking that. The first time.
Is that crooked too?
Yeah.
It's all fucked up?
Yep.
Man, we're doing a bad job today. We're doing
You
so
said
bad.
it looked good.
Yeah. I thought it did, and then I walked
just
over here
believe
is
you.
what happened.
Well.
It looks like it's this way. And this way. Like, it looks like it's more angled towards this side of the couch.
I hope you guys like the new
looks
fucking
like it's
show
tilted.
where we look at the camera and critique its placement for 20 minutes.
What was your favorite episode of the podcast? I like the one where they looked in the camera for a long time.
They just kept saying, "Is that right?
All right, then look like that.
Is that right?" And then the camera shuts off.
Oh, shit. That's gonna happen. You know it is. We got like 8 minutes and then it's gonna happen.
But yeah, what I was trying to say is that this is the first time in my 30 years on Earth that I did that.
Set the clocks back.
No, that I fucking like was excited that I quote unquote gained an hour.
Oh my god.
I was like,
thinking about it.
I was like, yeah, man, I don't have to go to work for like another hour now. Like, I was so happy. And then we made this fucking show.
Yep.
You guys, people love the show.
You're part of it.
People love the show.
You're watching it. You're watching it happen. You're watching this.
But yeah, so
nightmare
like,
occur.
is it? What do you guys think? Is it weird like to use these words so liberally?
I think that there's a good and a bad side to it. Because certain things
Like education is good.
Right.
Learning about these things. Is
certain
good.
words like gaslight, I think is being used a lot, but not
like too
in
much.
a terrible way. Because that, like you said, it's a good thing people know what that is. Because it is such an effective tool.
Anybody can gaslight somebody from like your neighbor to the fucking government.
Exactly. And so it is such an effective tool that is used to such extremes by so many people. I can think of a million different times throughout my life that, you know, friends, family, institutions, everybody has gaslit me and seriously fucked with my head. So like having people understand what that is important. Same thing with like narcissistic behaviors or tendencies. That's important. But like actually, I think you're right. Calling someone a narcissist is different than saying like you have narcissistic personality disorder and like this is clear, you know, NPD behavior.
Yeah.
And like that's a problem. Saying someone's narcissistic or saying, oh, you're a fucking narcissist because you're so full of yourself, that's colloquial. I understand that. And while that's problematic, there's not really a better way to do that. Say that without saying just you're fucking self-absorbed. And like it can be kind of a problem. But like I do agree, calling somebody saying like, oh my god, you're all over the place, you're fucking bipolar, that sucks. That's not how fucking manic depression actually works.
Yeah.
Telling somebody you're fucking so distracted all the time, you're fucking ADHD, get focused, that's problematic and harmful to people who actually have it. That's the thing, like, we talked on the show, I know I've said the story a few times, but I have friends who do have clinically proven diagnosed ADHD that are 100% positive that I do as well, and I align with all these people that show me all these things. I took the test online from like the ADHD Association of America and definitely, but I've never actually been diagnosed.
Yeah.
So I've never actually said on camera, yes, I have this and here's how it affects me. Even though I am like pretty sure But I'm not going to behave that way because, again, if I look on WebMD and find out that I have eyeball cancer, I'm not going to go around telling people, I have eyeball cancer. I saw it online. Now I've got to wear these sunglasses for my eyeball cancer until I go get it fixed. You know what I mean? Or checked or looked at or diagnosed.
They're not going to fix your eyeball cancer.
Nobody fucking cares about your eyeball cancer. Fuck your eyeballs. Yeah. Fuck them goddamn things.
Every time I go to the optometrist and I see a guy in there and they're looking at his eyes and they're like, oh, he's got cancer, they just pat his back and send him back out.
That's how it works.
They don't even charge you.
No, it's free.
It's
if anything, they should be paying you.
Yeah, it's free to find out
it.
that you have eyeball cancer because they're like, bye.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, he's got the eyeball cancer. There's nothing we can do.
Bye balls. You got the eyeballs cancer.
This is the most offensive thing I think we've said on
No, it's not.
No, tonight.
Okay, tonight, sure. Maybe,
tonight,
yeah.
this is the most. We're making jest.
We're making new
cancer.
ground, is what we're doing.
That's
we're
different from breaking it.
Yeah.
We're like the Lord. We're creating Earth. The Lord, He's the reason for the Thanksgiving or whatever. Now then, I can think of only one more. I can only think of one topic more offensive.
Yeah?
Weed is bad.
Oh, we're talking about weed, yeah.
Weed is bad.
I don't mind it.
I don't mind it at all.
But I don't mind it.
I don't mind weed at all. I just think it's kind of bad.
I think it gets in the way.
I think it's kind of bad. Yeah. I think a lot of people benefit from it and they need it, and I think it should be legal.
You're talking about recreational weed.
I think it should even be recreational. I don't have a problem with that.
What you think is bad? You think that recreational use of marijuana is bad?
I think that any use of marijuana is like any use of anything else, and it comes with associated risks. And I think there are health consequences that we don't know about because we haven't been allowed to research it. And now that we're allowed to research it, we're going to find out what those consequences are. And it doesn't mean that I think it should be illegal again. It just means that I think weed is not a savior of man. Like it's just another substance for us to use.
The fact of the matter is 500 people a year die from Tylenol. Like either overdose or like Tylenol related damages.
Did you give me some fucked up statistic about how nobody dies from weed?
Well, I'm saying it's almost impossible to overdose from marijuana.
I know that.
But I'm saying the comparison. So even if we were to find like, oh shit, turns out weed does this to you, is it as bad as Tylenol? Because if Tylenol were invented today, it would never be sold over the counter. It's only sold over the counter because it's been that way for a long time, and I guess it's just like this thing that they don't want to change. Like, unlike Sudafed, which has been sold over the counter, but then it could make more illicit drugs. The fact that marijuana is a Schedule 1 narcotic is fucking stupid. It's madness.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that at all. Because we are in complete agreement that it shouldn't be a Schedule 1 substance.
But that's why we haven't been able to research it. Because it's been written federally as absolutely no medicinal purpose whatsoever. There's no reason to check.
That's fine. That's all fine. But you know what I don't like is all these motherfuckers walking around acting like weed's the greatest thing on earth.
Truth.
And acting like it doesn't have any consequences.
Truth, yes. Absolutely.
Because you can't just fill up, like there's a generation coming up after us. We can't just fill them all up with nonsense about how weed is totally safe and they can smoke all they want.
No.
Like that's what worries me.
There are proven, like if you smoke it heavily and chronically before your frontal lobe is developed.
Before you're developed.
Yeah, before like age 21, 23.
It's kind of like alcohol.
It can cause memory damage for the rest of your life.
It can cause memory damage. It can cause problems with you being able to make decisions later in life.
Yes,
like moral decisions.
It can also lead to more addictive behaviors. It is kind of a gateway drug. Because, like, I was very much anti all drugs. Not for anybody else, just for me, I was very anti all drugs. And then, like, I smoked marijuana quite a bit. And then I tried shrooms, and then I tried acid. And I would never have done those things if I was never like, you know what? Being high on pot's pretty cool. I wonder what it would look like if reality melted. And I'm going to try this now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And like, again, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having those experiences. And I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with kids, like, using certain kinds of, like, CBD and THC medications to stop their fucking seizures and shit.
But I also, it should be pointed out, no matter, like, I used to smoke a lot of weed. And, like, I would never fucking do meth or heroin. Even when I was at my highest, I would. If I was fucking There was a time where I was so fucking stoned that I literally could not stop spinning in a circle. And at that moment, if you had asked me, I would have been like, just spinning in a circle like fucking, hell no, I'm not trying fucking cocaine or fucking... That's fucking stupid. Why would I do that? I'm going to continue spinning in a circle now. You keep your meth to yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it is, I could say it is somewhat of a gateway drug in terms of like, it makes you cool with other psychedelics because you can now test this shallow waters. But I don't think it's a gateway drug in terms of like, well, I've done weed, guess I better do meth.
Now I need to do all the drugs.
Exactly, like that's dumb.
Yeah, because I definitely never had that experience.
Exactly, yeah.
Where I was like, time to do everything.
Right.
But like, I still just think, like, I think people are playing a dangerous game with it.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like if you're not careful and you don't protect people like that need to be protected from it, and you don't do the right research now, then you're gonna have this backlash later, and you could even see it be completely like outlawed again because people are just so fucking knee-jerk reactionary to everything anyway.
Well, it also, like, I think the biggest problems that come with it is that like it's associated with developing things like memory loss and whatnot when you use it chronically, which that goes away after a little while if you used it properly at the age that was right. But like, it also can cause like, anxiety and things like that. That it can cause long-term disorders, and it does show that like if you were already predisposed to psychosis like this, it can kind of help bring that out. Fuck me. See, I told you, the second we look away from it, it's going to fucking turn off. This is, I don't know if it just did or not. I thought I heard a click. Motherfucker, Colin, come get it. Oh, get it. God damn. Fucking piece of shit over here. Oh, I've moved it now. See, and now it's all weird. No. Oh. Well, at least now I can straighten it out some.
I'm so glad that
that's better, right?
people get this from us.
People love this.
But yeah, so it can develop into psychosis.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not. I didn't say that right, but you know.
I know what you mean. It can help further, and so like those are things you have to take into account. And unfortunately, the time when you would start experimenting with marijuana safely, which is early to mid 20s, is also the time where people like. I think that's where like those psychoses tend to start to develop as well.
Yeah.
And that's what it did for me. Is I was like earlier on in my life just happy as can be. I didn't realize that I was like masking and shutting things down, and it wasn't until my early 20s I was like, oh, actually, here's anxiety and here's depression and here's all this shit that I've been covering up, and like now it's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
And we definitely made it worse for a little while because I would get very high and then think about those things and get deeper into that, into those rhythms.
It kind of makes you think more, not less.
Exactly.
Which is very interesting.
Exactly. And for some people, it's the opposite. Some people, it calms anxiety and it helps, it doesn't stop depression, but it helps them kind of just like get out of the funk a little bit.
I think
and that's
it does
important.
that for a while until I think eventually it gets to the point where your body just like feels like it needs it.
Yeah.
To calm you down.
Yeah,
and then it doesn't. It's not enough.
You're not chemically addicted, but you are like addicted to the feeling, and you're in that kind of rhythm of it.
And it is kind of true what they say. Like when you take a substance, usually, and like this is definitely true with marijuana. Like you the first time you really like have fun and get really stoned, like that's only gonna happen once.
Yeah, for sure. It's the first time your brain's done that thing.
Yeah.
Like I haven't smoked in a very long time, but I'm sure if I were to go blast my brains out with a fucking with a huge bong hit or something like that, I would get very, very high.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be anything close to the first time I ever did, where I couldn't fucking see straight. You know what I mean? Like that's because I didn't know what it was like to be there. I can now navigate those waters.
Exactly.
So like it's very different.
Which is another thing that's weird about using substances is like how the more you use a substance, the better. Even if it still kind of messes you up the same amount, you're better at it.
You're better at being fucked up. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Like, you just know more how to like. You're like, oh, okay, like that wasn't real.
Yeah.
You just ignore it instead of freaking out for 20 minutes because you saw a shape.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's hilarious. Like it's just fun.
Yeah. It's crazy. And that's like I don't know, man.
It's like, with psychedelics, like there's a lot of research finally going into like, like microdosing and using like psilocybin and things like that, and I think that's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to be like just telling everybody to try shrooms.
Right, exactly,
Like,
exactly.
like,
The amount
I'm
of,
not
like,
saying don't, but
Yeah.
I'm like not saying that you should for sure.
There's definitely a disparity between the amount of interesting scientific research that I've heard about of using psilocybin and microdoses to help with anxiety and depression and PTSD and all these really actually very interesting things versus the mountain of people on TikTok. They're like, I did a little bit of shrooms every day for a month and now I can be the president if I want to because I decided. And it's like, fuck, bro.
I don't think that's true.
Everything's beautiful now, and nature is great, and I'd never had a depressive thought in the past 3 weeks. I hope that's true, but please fucking do this safely and don't tell other people.
And also, that's probably only going to last for another week or so.
Yeah.
And then your body's going to do what it does and fucking be normal again.
Also, in like psilocybin, you get an insane tolerance for that very, very, very quickly, don't you? Like, you can't take shrooms like 2 days in a row.
No, you can't, but it also like it goes away. Like
Just
you
as
can
quickly.
it's one of those things where, and I'm not an expert at all,
Yeah, neither am I.
but I think it's one of those things where it like if you do it a lot in a short period, you get diminishing returns very quickly, but if you take a long period off,
Right.
it's kind of like a tolerance breaker, so something, so to speak, it becomes a different, it's like you have it.
Yeah.
But like that's, yeah, man,
It's
shit's
weird.
crazy.
It's very strange. It's very
And
strange.
that's also different. Like you are gonna have, like, if you do something like that. Like I know I did shrooms once, and when you do shrooms, you are positive for a little while.
Yeah.
And there is the possibility of like if you do something like that, like a hallucinogenic, mild hallucinogenics, and you have like a real meditative experience, and you really do it like alone or in a peaceful environment, and you go inside, not outside. It's not all about what you're seeing. You try to take it all internally. You can have an easier time like kind of meditating and thinking about things objectively inside your own mind, and you could have an experience that has like a lasting change. But these are all things that could happen.
Well, yeah,
You could also just sit in an apartment with like 4 other people, and you guys all laugh at like a fucking lava lamp
and just have
for 6 hours, and you
great
listen to
time.
music and eat a pizza, and it's all fun. And you all have like you feel good, and you got euphoria out the ass, but you didn't really like change anything about your brain.
Right.
Like it didn't cure your fucking ills.
Yeah.
Ills. It didn't cure your ills.
Cure what ails you.
Your ailments.
Well, and that's the thing. Like there actually is like evidence, like scientific evidence for showing like psilocybin has a lot of effects that like cause not euphoria, but like it lifts depression and PTSD symptoms by just kind of making you feel good about yourself. And I forgot the way that it's phrased specifically, but like it causes these certain feelings of not like invincibility, but of this like empowerment, so to speak, and like that it can kind of lift you out of bad issues that way, and it helps you to see things a little bit more clearly and
you
be
can
more,
get ego death, which is really cool.
seriously. But like all that to say,
I
like
had an ego death.
these things are all interesting things that can happen and have been shown to happen in a lab. That doesn't mean you should go buy shrooms from whoever and expect that to happen and just be better your whole life today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the last time
There
I did,
aren't any substances like that, and if there were, we would just be on here like shoveling them in our mouths and telling you to go buy them. Like
The
we'd be
the
like, hey,
last
we found the
time-
limitless pill.
the last
Like, you
time,
take
right?
it, it's a
Exactly.
fucking-
Yeah.
Like we found it's this one. You know we wouldn't lie about this. Look how smart we're getting.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
The last time I did acid, I came out of it and had a lot. I'd sorted out a lot of shit that I'd been dealing with. Not even trying. Like I wasn't sitting there like just sitting thinking. Just reality melted, and when I squished it back together, I made a better shape. If you know what I mean. And so like I came out of it with a lot less anxiety, and slowly over time, probably kind of reintegrated some things, but I was able to deal with those things better later.
Yeah.
That was also fucking crazy acid, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to try that or like expect that. Ooh, it's just
I do know.
Anyway,
I do have some idea.
I mean this sincerely, and I think this is a really important thing to say in this episode. Don't do drugs.
Don't.
Just don't.
Just don't.
Just don't do drugs.
And if you are gonna do anything, you better be freaking careful. And
Yeah.
You better be with. Just don't.
Yeah, just don't. And if you do it with experienced people that you trust, but more importantly,
Don't.
don't. There's an acronym for you. is don't. D-O-N-T. The D stands for don't. And the other letters, you get those for free. They're just there. But the point is don't is what you have to remember.
I'm going to let you finish.
I just did. That's the whole thing. That's I went through the whole thing.
Sucked.
It's...
Anyway, he's right though.
Yeah.
Don't.
Just don't. Especially if you're young. That's one thing I
If
get a
you're
lot of...
young, let your brain develop because you will
Yeah.
have time to fuck it up later.
There's your whole life to fuck up. Don't do it early.
Like get to 25 at least before you start like doing alcohol and drugs and shit.
That's the thing that I feel like is a problem, is the way that like movies and TV shows and things like glorify drug usage, or even the way that they depict drug usage. Because if you watch the way that like marijuana is depicted in a lot of movies,
It's for kids.
it's very clear that the people producing that have never fucking smoked weed, and they have no idea what it is. And because that's the thing. It's like I've talked to people that are like fucking like, oh, don't get too high. There's a lot of colors in this movie we're gonna go see. I'm like, what the fuck do you think?
What are you talking about?
What's wrong with you? Like, who cares? And like, it's very clear. They're like, oh, you know, when you get high and you start to grow hair out of your elbows and your legs feel like they're 12 feet long, and then you can't stop speaking in a Russian accent. I'm like, none of those things. Only one or two of those things is ever gonna happen.
I didn't take that. That's not what I took.
Exactly, you're crazy. And so like that. And so when kids see that, like I've taught,
they think it's hilarious.
I was a substitute.
It makes them want to do
exactly.
drugs. I know.
I was
where
a
you're
substitute
going
for a middle school once, and there were these two kids that were like, "Oh, we're gonna go. I can't wait to get to college because I'm gonna get so drunk all the time, party all." I'm like, first of all, you don't have fucking time for that when you're in college. Like, that's not gonna happen. Second of all, that's awful to do to your body and your mind. And third, there are consequences. You know what's going to happen the next day, and they're like, hangover! And I'm like, I promise you, no one who has a hangover has ever gone, hangover! No one's ever done that. Like,
Steve-O, like, man, Steve-O might have done that.
Been like, yeah, I feel like absolute shit.
Think about
yeah,
it. Think about it.
Sure,
That's the voice you're using.
Maybe.
That
but
is
like,
the voice of Steve-O.
But like these kids were like so stoked to be hungover, and I'm like, nobody who's ever been hungover has been stoked to be hungover, you fucking lunatic.
Yeah, but that's somebody who's been hungover.
You watched fucking American Pie Beta House, and you thought that's what college is like, and it's fucking not.
I know, but like I hate to do this to you. We were there.
Right.
We've been in that.
No.
And again,
I picked that as the example because when I was in high school, I watched American Pie Beta House, and I thought college was like that, and I was confused as fuck when it wasn't a fucking swimming pool of poon with fucking just shots on the sides. Like,
but you also gotta remember too is that like it's when you're that age, like as much as kids shouldn't do drugs, that's the age that you're trying things and you're pushing your boundaries and
right.
shit.
But that's why we shouldn't glorify these things.
We shouldn't glorify it, but we glorify it because it's taboo.
Do you think that's what it is?
That's part of it.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's just like it. I feel like the problem is, and this is, oh my god, I just realized what I'm about to say, and I sound so fucking old.
Spit it out, Grandpa.
We have to be really careful to make sure that we're teaching kids the difference between fantasy and reality, and I don't feel like we do that.
Well, no, we don't.
I just don't. Like, I feel like in a lot of things we don't, but especially when it comes to talking about drugs and alcohol.
And sex.
And sex, yes. Oh my god. The way we talk about sex, oh my gosh. I remember, I was so disappointed when I was like, oh, this is just a thing that I can do, and this didn't, like, completely change my whole life and personality. Oh, neat. This was just fun. Cool.
It is, like, yeah, it's just a thing you can do.
It's just a thing you can do. That's not to say it isn't jolly, but, like, there's fucking... I remember that movie that came out when we were kids. It was called... I forgot what... I think it was called 40 Days and 40 Nights. It was about a guy who had to go... like 40 days without having sex, and that was the whole premise of the movie. You remember what I'm talking about?
I remember the movie. I never watched it.
The whole premise of the movie was this guy was challenged to go 40 days without having sex.
Well, okay, but to be fair, he had like a bunch of sex normally, right?
Right, sure.
Yeah, I think he had like sex every day.
Or something. I don't know. I genuinely don't remember much about it. But I remember like he falls in love with this girl and there's like this big struggle and it's so difficult to not... It's like just keep in your pants 40 days. Who cares? I could do that. It's not a problem.
Yeah, and the plot device they used to like create tension, I'm pretty sure was that he just didn't tell her.
Yeah, or something like that.
Allowed, like he was temporarily celibate.
Yeah.
So he just like, instead of telling her, he just did as much really like intimate foreplay as possible.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Maybe I did see this then.
And then he's like walking around and there's like all these women and he just can't keep his head straight. And, oh my god! This is jogging girl with boobs.
She's like, why can't we fuck? And instead of saying, I took a 40-day vow of celibacy. And like, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
And I don't want to break my vow of celibacy. He just like leaves.
Is the weirdest fucking guy.
No, it's a movie written. Yeah. It's kind of like this is funny because I was thinking about. I wanted to put this in my notes, but I was thinking about this the other day. It's just a funny thing. It's not. It does as no substance. Mm-hmm. But there was a movie, and I can't remember what it was called, but it had Ashton Kutcher in it. Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher.
Our Aaron Ketchup was in the movie. Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah.
From that '70s show.
I never watched it.
But you know the guy.
I know the guy.
He's in it. Bernie Mac is in it.
I don't know who that is either.
You don't know who the fuck Bernie Mac is?
Tell a story.
Everybody fucking go in the comments and fucking tell Forrest if you know who Bernie Mac is. And
don't tell me who it is.
Make him feel
just tell me if you know.
Make him feel like shit. He passed away. It was sad. He was a comedian. He was in Ocean's 11.
I've never seen that either. Just tell what's this movie with these people that I don't know?
It's about a guy and a girl. They get together. She's black and he's white, and that's the whole fucking thing.
That's the movie.
Like they have to go meet her family, and they're all like pushing him and testing him the whole family trip or whatever.
And it's like Get Out but backwards.
And and there's this whole scene where she's talking to like all of her like sisters or cousins and stuff, and they're all talking about it.
Yeah.
And they're asking her all these questions about like fucking being with a white dude.
Yeah.
And this one question comes up. Right? I just remember this one thing from the movie because it always like was funny to me. Because I was like, this one question comes up, she's like, what about his they're like, what about his dick? You know, like what about his dick? And she's like, it's not small. You know, like it's this old, like it's huge. He's got that's a rumor. They have huge dicks.
It's like a baby's arm holding an apple.
All I could ever think about was like some writer like made it a point to like write that down. They had to make sure you put in there
the white guys have big dicks.
The white guys have huge cocks.
It's just please tell people it.
And that's really all movies are, is just a bunch of insecure people writing shit down.
Just a bunch of Mary Sues.
And that's what we need to remember about everything, is that it's all fake.
Yeah, yes, for real.
So really, like, you shouldn't should kids like get their examples from movies and shit? No. Are they going to? Of course.
That's the thing, is that a bunch of young parsons are gonna go watch fucking dumbass college sex movies and see drinking and drugs, and they're gonna watch a pornograph, and they're gonna think that this is how life is, and they're gonna be sorely disappointed by the reality that reality's actually pretty fucking chill. It's not to say that it's disappointing or terrible.
I can't stand I can't stand the idea. Like, there's all these people that are like fucking want to just get rid of porn.
Yeah, oh my god.
And I think it's so annoying and stupid. But also, what bothers me the most is that I even agree with some of the things they have to say.
They're not 100% wrong.
Because porn addiction is totally a problem.
Sure.
Anything that gives you a hit of dopamine is a problem.
And then you go more and more and more.
Yeah. So it's real, right? Like, there is a concern there. Also, like you said, like, if I go watch porn right now, it doesn't really matter how crazy it is, because I understand what reality is like.
Right.
I know the reality of, like, sex.
How a human works. And what women are actually interested in.
Yeah, like, I don't have any, like, crazy fantasies about that. And if I do have a fantasy, it's because beforehand, we talked about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's that. But, like when I had watched this stuff when I was, like, in high school and shit, like, I didn't know what the fuck sex was supposed to be like. So there's this very real concern, especially with how it was bad when we were kids. It's way worse now. It's way easier. What's up?
I'm just thinking about hey, baby, you want to bend your body into the most uncomfortable possible position so that if anybody else was in the room, they could get the best HD view of my taint? Let's do it, babe.
Sounds good.
I'm going to hit it like this. So stupid.
Yeah, so it's fun to watch, but it's not fun to perform.
Oh yeah, no, of course not.
So like, there's that. So like, but like somebody like who's fucking 15 right now, sitting at their computer with all the fucking RGB lighting in the world, they're not gonna have that reality to have like.
And they're gonna be like, man,
I
I can't wait to find a girl so I can put 100% of her body weight on her neck, and I can.
The first time he has
in
sex, the first time he has sex, he just starts fucking abusing this person because he has no idea what's going on. And like, as funny as it is right now, because we're sitting here laughing at it at fucking 1 a.m., that's terrifying.
Seriously,
terrifying.
Young women should be scared of young men.
Yeah, because like, and like, here, what sucks the most is that he doesn't know.
He doesn't fucking know.
He's like, oh, she's supposed to say no, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I saw.
That's what the lady in the video. Now, like, obviously, we're giving extreme examples, but like, that's the reality. Yeah, I'm nervous.
How did you even do that?
Podcast. That's why you should do audio only.
Yeah, because you don't see this shit.
Yeah, you just hear us laughing about sound. Incomprehensible noise. So, like, yeah, man, the fucking, it scares me. And, like, now I have kids and I see them trying to figure out what's fiction and what's real. And it's even more terrifying. And some of them are better at it than others.
I imagine so.
Reality versus fantasy came very easily to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because, like, I saw my stepdad beating up my mom.
Probably helped.
But, like, but then there's other kids that didn't, and they wouldn't know. Like, they would get way caught up in pretend, or they would think, like, a TV show was real, and I'd be like, I'm 7, and they're 7, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, no, yeah, and I remember being on, like, the elementary school playground and having kids, like, really fucking thought that they could fucking turn into He-Man if they said the right thing. I'm like, fucking, what's wrong with you? Like, now I get what you're saying.
You're like, no, yeah, it's pretend, and they're like, no, I really, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
this guy's fucking got, he's a psychopath.
Up in there. Yeah, and I get you.
You got the gabagoo.
Yeah.
Hey, gabagoo. But it's real.
I think that's, you know what, to circle back to my usual thing, that's why education's so important. You know what I mean?
I mean, education is very important, but it only goes so far in helping people distinguish fantasy versus reality, because some people just actually can't. And that's why we also need to have a much more robust mental health care system.
Yeah, man. So don't call people crazy, and don't put them down for not being able to distinguish fantasy and reality. Teach them how to do that at an early age, and then later, if they can't, do something about it.
You have to put them in a room,
help.
But it's got to be like a good room where they can like watch TV.
Good rooms. 2022, we design good rooms.
In the year 2022, we designed the goodest rooms.
Yeah. And
then we put them in them. Them. Everyone.
And that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. That's the end of our time. I don't want to.
Is it?
I don't want to start. Well, it's gonna be in like 2 minutes. The camera's gonna shut off again, and I don't want to fuck with it. So I say we cut it here. We're at 52 minutes, and we go for an hour. So we're ending. Not even. We're ending 7 minutes early now, to avoid having to put in a tiny little dick of footage at the very end and having to restart the whole thing. It's better this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure everyone will be okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're coming off a little hostile for somebody who just had a conversation with an old friend.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this week of I'm Not Comfortable With This. I hope you enjoyed it.
And I'm Ben.
I hope you learned something. I fucking hope you tell us in the comments how dumb we are about several things.
So glad I have this on video forever.
Yeah, we'll never regret this.
Do I look tired?
Yeah.
Or do I look sexy?
Both.
Or do I look dead?
3 of them. All 3 of the things.
You look a little tired too.
Yeah, well...
People with narrow eyes, you can't trust them.
That'll never be taken out of context at all. No one will ever just cut that out and make
No,
it.
yeah, no. I guess it's not. Well, I said narrow.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're used to. It's because I saw. Okay, so fun fact. I saw this. It's propaganda is what I got this from. So
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and explain. We'll use our last 6 minutes to
fuck.
explain the propaganda pamphlet that I read in a history book, where it showed people. It showed a guy who looked a lot like you, which was interesting to me.
Woof.
Looked a lot like you. And they were like, people who look like this are just evil. They're just evil. It's like definitely evil, definitely treacherous.
Yeah.
And they'll steal from you. I haven't seen you do anything like that ever.
Be treacherous.
Yeah, in our entire friendship, I've never seen you be like a thief or like treacherous scum.
Thank you. Thank you for this vote of good. Like, this is a good vote of confidence for my name here. I appreciate that.
There's another one I saw where it was like, if someone has narrow nostrils, it means they're more likely to lie. And I was like, what the fuck?
See, I thought you were just being racist. Is what I thought you were just straight up.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even talking about that. So I guess like if first of all,
But if it's narrow nostrils too.
If you thought I was talking about how do I say it without it becoming racist?
Racist.
Very sleepy. What I'm saying is no Asian hate. I don't have that.
I appreciate it.
That's what I'm saying. But I didn't. And when I said narrow eyes, I didn't even think about Asian
No,
people.
I know you didn't. It's just so funny.
But then when you pointed it out, I was like, oh god, that's what that sounds like.
That's incredibly rough.
Because like your eyes are just squinty right now because you're tired.
They're very squinsome.
And like mine are the same.
Oh,
I can't be racist. I depend on way too many people.
Right.
And they're all different.
Oh, it's a good day. It's a good day to not be racist. So don't.
Don't do drugs. Don't be racist. Don't throw around terms you don't fully understand willy-nilly.
And don't
watch American Pie.
Don't watch American Pie movies, and don't try to fornicate with your girlfriend like you saw on a TV show or on a
No, it's okay. But you talk to her first. You talk to her. You don't just
discuss it.
You don't just come up
communicate in sex.
Like you don't ask a girl on a date and then like kick her door in that night at 8 p.m. with like a ski mask on because you're like, this is what I saw. I've been preparing 6 years for that. You don't do that. You don't do that.
What have you been watching? It's fucking rough.
It's not about what I'm watching. It's about what I'm aware of.
This podcast is all about life lessons this time. We're learning. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye. That's it. I'm ending it here. Goodbye.
It's like afraid I'm going to say worse shit. Is that what it is?
No.
We got to turn it off.
No
more the podcast.
No more the podcast. Oh. Oh.
Don't forget to subscribe so I can eat the cheese.
Subscribe.